That's the only major element of the Land Bank Authority Act that I see that you can't do under some other existing law. Berks, for instance, is using the Redevelopment Authority as a land bank authority by any other name. They turn everything in their tax sale repository over to the Redevelopment Authority for sale. Lebanon County's blessed in it. Last time I looked, the only thing in the repository is mobile homes. There really isn't a repository of 150 houses that failed to sell on tax sale. In Berks, particularly in Reading, there are. And they all go to the Redevelopment Authority, who either rehabs or demolishes the property. If they demolish it, it gets sold to the abutting property owner for a side yard. And they're just doing that under the Municipal Corporation Act. We've been doing similar thing for the city of Lebanon for years. The city will often, no eminent domain involved, but they'll buy a property, a blighted property after a fire, let's say, and the title goes immediately into the Redevelopment Authority because we have the ability to sell that property without going to the court. So many times the city will use the Redevelopment Authority as a conduit for properties that it buys coming out mostly out of fires. We have 2 or 3 I think right now that we own that we got that way. And that's a constant turnover. So you can do that right now. So I knew there was some interest, and I forget who it was, one of the commissioners asked a question about land bank authorities when the Dolphin headline went through. So I wanted to get you the information on land bank authority. I'm not saying to you that's something you should rush ahead with to do here. My own reaction would be, let's see what other counties really do with it. How well does it work in Dolphin? And Chris and I, when we talked, Chris said to me, well, how often will we use it? And I really can't answer that question.
Will the city do their own again, and isn't that where all the properties would be practically?
Yeah. If there were any, it would be the city, as you say. We have the ability to do it if you choose to. If there is one, it should be a county authority. I don't think it should be just a city authority. It should be a county authority. If you structure one, I think Dolphin structure is a good idea. Essentially what they did, they made the authority members the 5 members of the Redevelopment Authority plus 2 other members, and that's because the land bank law, 1 member has to be non-governmental and 1 has to be associated with a community organization, which is undefined, but that could be a CLA, a chamber, could probably even be a service club. So that's why they threw in the extra 2 members. One's going to be non-governmental and one will be community organization based in Dolphin. That's the structure I would suggest, and that it would be housed in the Redevelopment Authority. But there are costs. If you'd establish one, there's cost of operating any governmental entity. You have audits, you have reports to state government, to federal government. And if you're only going to use it once or twice at all, is it a cost you really want to incur? Sure, it can be paid for from some means, probably Affordable Housing Trust Fund. But I wanted to get you the information on that and answer any questions you have on it. I know, speaking for myself and I think for Chris, neither of us are really here today to say to you, this is something we think you should consider doing. We do think you should consider doing the Investment Board. The Land Bank Authority, it's a brand new law. Only 1 county's actually adopted it. You now know what they've done. You now know what the parameters of it are. Maybe it's something that you just sit back and wait and see how it develops across the state. But that's my 2 cents on land bank.
First of all, we shouldn't be out enacting ordinances and laws just because it's in vogue or, it's something, because every time we enact something like this, we take someone else's freedom away. Every law, every resolution that any level of government passes, it infringes on someone else's right. And your example here, why should we create an instrument where someone doesn't have the ability to go purchase a property if it comes up for sale? And that's really what this does. And it's we come back to the eminent domain and those, it's for the common good. But the common good, all of us are part of that commonality, and I just really hate to see us, and I don't think we should even consider something if it's something that you don't feel strongly about, and just because Dauphin County did it. So I don't, at this point, I don't think we need to even look at it. Do you?
You mentioned to prevent, say, a property from falling into the hands of a slumlord. Could something, this land bank authority, have been useful in, say, keeping the Colonial Theater out of the hands of the person who bought it at sheriff's sale, then left it run down and created a
That would have been
problem?
an example. The other one that comes to my mind, is probably the most egregious because what it cost local government to correct was the former textile printing, which went up for pennies at judicial sale. They stripped it of everything of value and let the shell sit for years, and then the city actually wound up having to buy it back from them and pay big money to demolish it. That could have easily gone into a land bank authority, and there aren't a lot of examples like that. That's one of the reasons I said I'm not here today to recommend that you do, but there have been examples of properties that, had we had a land bank authority, we probably would have come to the commission and said, this property really shouldn't go up for judicial sale. It's going to cost government a lot more money if we sell this for the couple of dollars of taxes that are owed on it. The other one would be, and there is also in the blight package to prevent, and most municipalities haven't been doing it, but right now you can keep someone who has properties that are condemned from buying at judicial sale. You haven't been doing it, but, and I won't name some of the slumlords in town, but in theory, if one of them would bid on residential property at a tax sale, the Tax Claim Bureau could decline to accept their bid under current state law. One of the blight bills that passed was that anyone that has outstanding condemnations against them that cannot buy or can be excluded from purchasing on tax sale.
See, now
But
that
to
I
me,
would
that
consider.
makes, yeah. we jump, that makes a lot more
Yeah.
sense because
Unfortunately,
we already
they've been
know
taking
that
bids
they're
from anybody that walks in
offenders.
the door.
Yeah.
But in theory, they should be checking primarily with the city, because that's where the bulk of the condemnations are. But when I see some of the folks that are at judicial sales looking to buy cheap, and there are folks that the names that we all know.
Well, if there's anything you brought today, I would be willing to, if it's in order, to move a motion to instruct our people in tax claim to carry out that part of the law.
Yeah, that's already in law, so that's really a policy matter for the commission to determine it. And I'm way outside of my own bailiwick, and Chris isn't even suggesting it, but that is part of the blight package that was passed a couple of years ago. And a lot of municipalities don't even know it's there or are not using.
Well, that may be worthwhile to make the municipalities.
Again,
aware
I'm
of.
not, the land bank I'm bringing to you because I had questions about it when Dauphin passed theirs, so I thought, well, I'll get all the information for you. I'm not convinced at all that it brings that much more in the way of tools. Before you, I certainly hear what you're saying. You're going to wind up having to hold the land, you're going to have to maintain the land, you wouldn't be paying taxes on it,
Yeah.
but you certainly would have to treat weeds. If there's a sidewalk, you'd have to deal with snow. It's cost of doing business, and that's what I say. If you create this, there are costs that go with it.